because I believe that was the one where they went to a 60-minute draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the way everything was paced and just seeing these two wallop the crap out of each other, any one of those matches could be classified as anyone's match of the year for different reasons depending on what you like to see. But as far as me and my pick, for reasons I already talked about earlier, I'm going to go with the second match in their series, Omega versus Okada.
Both of those were great matches and great picks. I'm going to go with one that two guys I had never heard of before. And they came on and blew me away, and both of them are now firmly on my radar for people who are going to be awesome superstars in the very near future. I'm talking about Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate.
There it is.
Volume 1.
Because there's going to be more.
There
already is, yeah.
There has been. Volume 1. This one came out of nowhere for me.
That whole UK tournament was amazing.
That whole UK tournament was amazing. And these two put on a show. And I'm talking about the one where these guys made their name in the tournament, and the title defense afterwards, these guys went nuts, and they'd done stuff that I had never seen before. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. So your two picks, very good matches. The reason I picked this one was because they were two unknowns for me, and they made me believers in one 15-minute time period. Whereas I already knew that those four could go. Mm-hmm. and so they proved me right, and these guys just went and blew my mind for a good 15-20 minutes, put themselves on the map. And I see them be, UK tournament, UK champion is good and all for now, but I see these guys doing big things on the WWE roster itself in the very near future.
Very disappointed that the UK show that they wanted hasn't gone through yet.
Yeah, I'd say take the place of the cruiserweights because they don't do shit anymore for me.
Hey, it's just Enzo and Nia. I can't. That's the only intriguing thing going on.
Hey, it's
and
something.
That's just
the
fun.
Cruiserweight. It's something.
That's just fun.
And Drew Gulak.
Yes.
And Drew Gulak.
And
yes.
Drew Gulak. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so much fun watching him live. It was that made 205 Live fun.
There you go.
Drew Gulak.
Now flipping coin once again. Now we're going to go on to our next category, which is worst match of the year. I believe I'm kicking this off. All right. Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I believe I don't have anything more to say about that. Just
which one?
In sheer, all of them. In just sheer disappointment. There are a lot of bad matches this year, granted, but in terms of the most disappointing ones, this one was the most disappointing one for me, solely because I love Shinsuke Nakamura, but this is him at his absolute worst. He is capable of better. We deserve better, and this was not better.
We already talked about it. Tarek already mentioned it. This was the moment where I went, yeah, this experiment isn't going to work. Because remember, we were on board a little bit, at least two of us. We were on board a little bit when it first happened. We were like, it's a surprise, let's see where it goes. And then they did the Punjabi Prison match at Battleground, made Tarek cry, brought back someone who didn't need to come back in the Great Cheese.
That's specifically why I did not mention the Punjabi Prison match, strictly because
he was happy to see the Great Cheese.
The sheer absurdity of seeing the Great Cheese come back in the year of our Lord 2017 was just, I'm sorry, I thought it was hilarious. And because the Great Cheese made me laugh, that's disqualified that for being my worst match of the year, because at least it amused me on some ironic level.
And you know what? Punjabi prison matches are never good. They never have been. So we go in. I'm changing it. Because you knew going in it was going to be shit. Because it's a Punjabi prison match. And whatever. I'm going with the first one. The one where he actually won the title. Mostly because it's the only match this year that I actually fell asleep in.
Practical.
Pretty much. It was so boring. The first 5 minutes. The one where Jinder Mahal actually won the title. That I fell asleep. I woke up, saw Jinder Mahal won the title, and I thought all my nightmares had just come true. I thought it was a nightmare. I thought I was having a dream. I closed my eyes, I woke up again, and was like, oh no. So yeah, for the distinction of being the one match that I fell asleep in this year, and slept all the way through, Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton for the WWE title. What pay-per-view was that? Backlash?
Whichever one was before Battleground, man. I don't even know. And
whatever.
And the sad thing is, that one is mine.
But whatever. So, yeah. All the things Jinder Mahal.
All the things Jinder Mahal. So that's about as detailed as
you
you're going to go
for
this one.
You honestly cannot go with it's. We were all scared of the fact that he became number one contender in the first place, and it was just the sheer nightmare of knowing, oh my God, he actually may win the title in this match, and it's because he won the title that I hate that it was this match is my worst, because it was the reason. For such a long time, SmackDown was so unwatchable for me. It was a nightmare, and AJ Styles was our hero. He was our angel that saved SmackDown. And
I can go with a lot of things, okay? But that title reign was not believable at all from the get-go.
And now we have the possibility that he's winning the United States title.
You know what? I can go along with that. For irony's sake. I can go along with that. The heavyweight title, he should have won the US title instead of the heavyweight title. I would have been more invested in that, cuz it's the entire foreigner wins the
US title.
The US title and holds it thing.
So they would have just done Rusev's storyline off for Jinder.
It would have been somewhat less offensive, put it that way.
I could go with that. It's more believable than him randomly winning a number one contenders match and beating Randy Orton.
Winning a 6-man number one contenders match. And just looking at this United States tournament, my God, it's not a very good tournament. We all know what the main event's the final match is gonna be.
Yeah,
Bobby Roode versus Jinder Mahal. Why couldn't it have been like Big E versus Rusev instead of Xavier Woods versus Aiden English? Have Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, because unlike like what we were saying last week, they're just going to be stuck together no matter what.
Well, let's cleanse the palate a little bit. Speaking of, now let's move on to our next category: pay-per-view of the year. Brian, your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Give us something.
Because the first 3 hours of a 4-hour show was fantastic, I'm going to go with WrestleMania. Because after the abomination that was the one in 2016, this started off so much better, and you had a great lineup. It was the last hour that did it, that brought it down even a little bit. Because you had Brock Lesnar Goldberg. You knew that was going to be about 6 minutes long because Goldberg can't go.
But it was a very fun 6 minutes.
Yeah,
It really was.
That's what she said.
And the Undertaker Roman Reigns was.
She's a whore.
It was boring. It was
Which one?
It was all right, but it was boring.
Which
Undertaker Reigns.
Oh.
It was, and we can go back and debate the winner of that match all we want, but after the Abomination and wasn't it like my worst pay-per-view pick last year?
I think it was a lot of people's worst
so.
pay-per-view
Was it
pick
last
last
year?
year.
was
Last
it
year's
The one with Undertaker Shane McMahon?
Was it 2 years?
It was last year. Undertaker Shane McMahon. Was
that the one with Roman Reigns and Triple H?
Yes.
Oh, then Yep, it was last year.
Yeah. So
I love that it's that one.
Just because of the fact that
Zack Ryder.
most of it, just because most of it was good, it cleansed the bad taste from the year before enough, and really nothing topped it, I believe, throughout the year. So yeah, WrestleMania, as it should be every year.
Full? What you got?
Honestly, I have to second that. I really can't add anything more. It's WrestleMania.
It
Wow,
should
that was
be.
quick.
It should
I got
be.
nothing. I can't really add anything to that. The whole he said.
The whole thing is WrestleMania should be pay-per-view of the year every year, and when it's not, that's how bad WrestleMania
Well, I'll tell
is.
you what. I'm going to go with WrestleMania also. But if I've got any more insight to give, it's that one thing that really stuck out with me is that normally at the end of a 4 or 5 hour pay-per-view, something ridiculous, which is absolutely absurd just on its own. It's exhausting. I don't care what kind of good show you can put on. Eventually, fatigue will set in. One good thing I can absolutely say about WrestleMania is that the entire show was, unlike its predecessor the year before, everything was paced out perfectly. Mm-hmm. It went at the right tempo. The right matches went on when they needed to go on.
Except for the Cruiserweight title match.
But even so, the matches that we got in the order that we got them was ultimately very satisfying. And say what you will about the quality of the main event, Undertaker versus Reigns, the way the show closed and the way that match ended, whether Undertaker comes back for one last match or whether he doesn't, no matter what happens next, you will not forget the way that show ended. Mm-hmm. None of us will. So that, just given the pacing and the ending just being so powerful just as it was, that's one reason of many why I'm going to give WrestleMania my personal pay-per-view of the year.
And there were actual WrestleMania moments that will stick with me throughout time, unlike the year before, where I paused it and watched the Walking Dead finale instead of... You don't do that at WrestleMania, and I did. That's how bad last year's WrestleMania was.
Hey, can't win them all. And speaking of not being able to win them all, again, flipping the coin once again, we are going to look at our next category, Worst Pay-Per-View of the Year. Fool?
It's actually really funny because I actually had a couple of these pay-per-views. I actually had to look back and think, okay, well, what was my thoughts on this, and what were my ratings for it? And the only one that I remember that left a real sour taste in my mouth was Battleground. Mm. And it was really because of that Punjabi prison match. As fun as
there it is again.
It keeps coming back. It's just the main event was Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers versus Randy Orton. And the Singh brothers were the saving grace of that match, but I just remember all the other matches on that card. I just wasn't really intrigued on what was going on, and it just left me bored, and that's really it. Yeah. It made me want to turn off the screen, turn off the network.
Yeah, given the way that bad shows have a tendency to register in my mind, I really had to do the same as you, and I have to really think about, okay, which shows did I really resonated with me, which ones didn't. Granted, I can't remember everything. Again,